Apologies for the technical difficulties, but we're back. And again, I'll remind you, my name is Mikhail Tinubu, and we're going to be discussing some of the most relevant sports stories from around the world that have taken place over the course of the day. I am joined on the show by a good buddy, Monday Thomas, to discuss these stories. Monday, good evening. Monday. If
All right,
you
good
can
evening.
hear me, Monday, please
I,
unmute.
I'm right here with you now, Michael. Thank you so much for having me once again. It's a pleasant evening to talk sports. I must say
Monday,
it's very cool. Can you hear me, Michael?
I, I can't hear you, but if you can hear me, please unmute your mic.
Is it better now?
Well, while we wait for that to be resolved, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, yesterday threatened to shut the doors to the 2023 World Championships billed for Budapest, Hungary, against any foreign-based athlete who fails to show up for the national trials in Benin City, Edo State. AFN's threat came just as 12 US-based stars trained at the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium, Benin City, yesterday in preparation for the event, which the country will use to select its flag bearers to the World Championships. Today is arrival day for the championship, which begins tomorrow and ends on Thursday. AFN Secretary General Rita Mosindi stated that any foreign-based athlete who failed to attend the national trials should consider him or herself out of the trip to Budapest. She also revealed that reigning sprint hurdles world champion Tobiloba Amusan and Nigeria's best 200-meter runner at the moment, Udodi Onwuzurike, are among the athletes expected in Benin City. Now, we've talked a lot about the dependence on foreign-based athletes. It's a shame that too often we don't have homegrown, home-based athletes who have all of the facilities, all of the resources right here in Nigeria to get prepared for the major tournaments that they intend to undertake to represent us as a nation. When they go for the Olympics, when it's World Championships, we're often looking for athletes in the US, in England, other parts of the world to utilize the facilities over there, the world-class facilities over there, to get prepared so that they can stand a chance to compete with the very best in the world. And then we hurled them back to Nigeria just to stand up for a test that we apply to them and say, okay, if you've done well at this, then you can go. You can go represent us. But it's unfortunate, and we've said it before, I'm saying it again, it's unfortunate that all of the preparation cannot be done here in Nigeria. If it's a few months before the qualifying competitions or the major tournaments themselves, that the performances that require coaches to oversee whether these athletes are ready, fit, able to go all the way in the competitions that they intend to represent us for, it's unfortunate that they cannot do all of that preparation right here on home soil. And when we have to rely on these foreign-based athletes, it's in effect we're hat in hand, effectively begging for their participation because we don't have better options. We don't know that we can do better than the performances that these athletes are capable of giving on our behalf. So, of course, we are, in a way, begging them for their performances. So when I hear stories about these athletes being threatened by our AFN, telling them you must be in Nigeria to qualify for this in order for us to pick you as a flag bearer, it rings hollow because we know how athletes can unionize. They can gather together and say, you know what, we will hold you to ransom. We will do as we feel and we won't show up where you want us to show up. And then we are left looking silly. At best, we feel an unprepared, quickly, hastily assembled young talent that don't have a chance at all to do well, and then we send them off unprepared, and then the rest of us are left gobsmacked that this is the level of preparation that we're putting out there. I wonder if Monday Thomas is back on the line with me. Monday, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Michael. I hope you can hear me as well.
I can hear you, and I just want to say, this threat rings hollow to me. It doesn't feel like it has any teeth to it. Sure, these athletes should be home. They should definitely come participate in local competitions that will be used to judge whether they are credible and qualified to go represent us. But the fact that they don't spend most of their time in Nigeria anyway, and certainly they don't spend their preparation time in Nigeria because we don't have world-class facilities. We don't have world-class resources to put at their disposal. It doesn't seem like we have a lot of leverage with these athletes. And that shouldn't be the relationship anyway. It should be that these athletes can't wait to be back in Nigeria 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks even ahead of time to participate in whatever qualifying competition that we want to use to grade them as whether they are credible and qualified to go represent us as a nation. The country should be bigger than the athletes, and therefore the reputation of the nation should lend itself to these athletes that they want to be associated with us. They want to jump in as quickly as possible. There should be no need for such threats.
I mean, I think it's a very, very tight situation that we have right now. I understand the AFN, they're trying to ensure that this athletes, when they are going to represent the country of Nigeria, just like you've stated rightly, that the country is bigger than any athletes. But in this case, some athletes are outside the country. They are exposed to modern day facilities. They are exposed to state-of-the-art equipment. And that's why the likes of Tobi Amusan is waving the flag of Nigeria. But we all know that she's not Nigerian trained. She's trained by a Jamaican, and she has spent most of her training days in the United States of America and in other countries. And now we are claiming Tobi Amusan. Now we are priding in our success. I mean, it's a good thing. But I understand the AFN saying that they don't want to give any tickets to any foreign base. Maybe they are trying to curb some medical reports that we get later on in the as the competition goes further, and which is also very embarrassing. But I'm thinking the anti-doping test can be done wherever these athletes are in the world. I mean, are the AFN ready to sponsor their flight tickets to return home? Are they going to do so? Because these athletes, most of them, they are just getting in on the big stage for the first time. They may not have enough financial ability to come home and then get back to where they're supposed to be. Are the AFN going to provide them logistics for and also ensure that this they have a good stay here in Nigeria? Because most of them may not even have where to stay in Nigeria, although they are Nigerians. I know they have relatives, but they may not want to stay with them. Is the AFN ready to get this thing in place for them to return home?
Usually, we see with other countries that whenever a competition is up, whether it's a local, completely, strictly local competition that is going to be used to judge whether they are qualified to go represent the nation, they are sequestered a week or two, maybe sometimes even up to a month, away from the rest of the world to prepare, to do doping tests, to take in the atmosphere of being in work mode. But that doesn't seem to be what's going on here. There's no control. The AFN has no control, no real oversight over these athletes. So effectively, at the very last minute, with today, the day they expected in camp, the day they expected to be at the very last the last opportunity to be back in the country, suddenly a threat is coming out. It doesn't seem like they've done enough to cajole or to invite or to bring these athletes to a situation where they would be ready to prepare for what comes next. A world championship is at stake. The reputation of the country is at stake. It doesn't seem like the AFN has any control over what's going on with these athletes.
Well, I'll completely agree with you. Apart from having control, they don't understand how things work. as far as athletic is concerned. I'm not going to ruffle any shoulders this evening, but I've got to be brutally honest. Some people running sports in this country do not have any business with sports. I mean, it's okay. I understand what they're trying to do, but why don't you get this thing in place at the right time? I mean, preparation births good performance. You're as good as your preparations. How are you just calling this? Are you just putting up this threat, which is clearly a threat? A threat shouldn't be used. Threat shouldn't be used because these are human beings. They've got emotions as well. Why are you threatening a human being who thinks that, okay, if I don't succeed for Nigeria, I can succeed for any other country? I mean, in this case, they're going to pride over their talent, over pride, over representing Nigeria. So it should be a win-win situation. If they are to talk to these foreign-based athletes, they have to do that in dialogue.
The AFN has washed its dirty laundry in public, hasn't it?
Not many times more than one, I tell you for certain, Michael, and it is getting embarrassing. I mean, these people, they need to return to the drawing board, and when I talk about drawing board, they need to go back to school and know how sports is being run, so that they'll know how to talk to an athlete, they'll know how to put things in place at the right time before a
Of course, there's always emphasis on coaching, the coaching staff, the people who are behind the scenes, the medical doctors. But do you suppose that we have qualified or credible psychologists on staff? Do we have people who are capable of understanding how to coordinate and communicate with athletes? Because the mentality of athletes is very different from the mentality of regular people. You do something, it's like a samurai sharpening a sword for years, for months, for years, to get ready for one battle. That is effectively what these athletes are. They sharpen their tools, they sharpen themselves, their senses, their reflexes, to get ready for intervening competitions. And at the end of the day, no matter how many coaches they're surrounded by, they are effectively alone. When they step on the field, when they step on the track, they are alone. And what is left is their own mentality to drive them forward. When you hear threats like these, it begs the question, do we have people who understand how to communicate with people with such mentalities and get them to do exactly what is needed for the sake of the country, especially without revealing all of this in public?
Well, just to add to what you just said, you made mention of a country being bigger than an athlete, but you know that these athletes are the main actors. These athletes are the people who go out there and who get the job done. And if they don't get the job done, the country goes down, the athlete goes down. It's a win-win, and it's a lose-lose kind of situation. If the athlete doesn't do well, the country doesn't take the praise. Just like Toby Amusa, and she did well, and all of a sudden Nigeria is on the podium at the World Athletic Championship last year in Oregon, United States of America. So this is a win-win situation. If you want to talk to these athletes, if you want to get things straight, if you think that your own level of constructing things is the best, you need to get these athletes informed, and you need to do that in the best possible way. Apart from communication, you need to tell them on time. You need to also provide logistics to ensure that these athletes come home, unite with other athletes, get to know each other, and go to Budapest and maybe conquer. But for now, I'm not going to root for the athletes representing Nigeria in the event coming up in Budapest, because I think the administration, once again, are not doing the right things.